Hello, and welcome back to Super Mario Mayhem. In the last video, we played a surprisingly good port of Donkey Kong. And today, we're playing a very important game. Today, we'll be playing Mario Brothers, the arcade game. This isn't the first time we've heard the name Mario Brothers used in a game before. We played the Game & Watch version, which is significantly different from this version, as instead of working in on a production line, we are now plumbers. This is one of the first Mario games to ever suggest that have Mario as a plumber, and introduces many iconography that will appear in the Mario franchise, such as you can see, the pipes and turtles, as well as coins. This is the game where that kind of iconography is first used. So, without further ado, let's play the game. So as you can see, this game plays a little bit differently than what most people would assume Mario would play as. And this is really loud on OBS. Let me turn it down just a little bit. I think that's a little better. Hopefully my voice will overpower the game's volume. But yeah, the objective of the game is simply to defeat all the enemies as they come out of the pipes. And the way you do it is that you must flip them over from the underside of these floors. Oof. There isn't a end of loop for this game. It is basically just play until you can't play no more. Obviously, this game can get pretty difficult, especially in the arcade version. Obviously, with all the other Mario arcade games, my first exposure to Mario Brothers was through the NES version. And much like all the other arcade ports to the NES, it tended to be a lot easier than the arcade version. One more thing to note in this game is the big block in the center of the screen. This is the first game to introduce the POW block, and when you hit it, it basically flips every enemy on our back. And after we beat the first bonus stage, we get introduced to another type of enemy. For the first two phases, we've only dealt with shell creepers. They are not Koopas. They're shell creepers. They're completely two different things. They're both turtle-like creatures, but trust me, they're two different things. I missed the name during the demonstration, but we have these crabs, side steppers, I think they were called, where you must flip them over, hit them below twice in order to completely flip them over. And they can get pretty fast when they get really angry. You might also be noticing that these fireballs. I always have a hard time saying fireballs for some reason. I always want to say fire bars. Those are not a thing yet, but yeah, if you take a little longer to finish a stage in this game, fireballs will spawn, and it's just simply there to make it harder for you to survive longer in these stages. Hit the POW. You can defeat the fireballs if you perfectly time hitting them from below, but that's kind of tricky to do, especially in the arcade version. And we have our third enemy variant, the fighter flies. These enemies can be tricky because the only way to flip them is when they are touching the ground. As you can see, they're not always touching the ground at all times. Quickly. That was a little too late. I was trying to hit both of them. Strangely, they were aligned perfectly. But yeah. I believe every bonus stage. Oh. By the way, if you take too long to, I think if you stay on one of these floors a little too long. I didn't get him. Yeah, these fighter flies can be especially tricky to hit, especially when they get faster. But yeah, green fireballs appear on one of the levels if you are in it for too long, and they basically just move in a straight path through the entire level, while the red fireballs just bounce around the entire stage. Alright. Obviously, the more enemies you kick in a row, the more points you get. Which can be extremely to get more than 2. Especially since in this version, the enemies get up quicker. But yeah, that is pretty much the basic gameplay of. Are you ready for the next phase? Slip ice. This is the final demonstration. Basically, if you remember them in like Super Smash Brothers, they're called freezies, but in this game they're called slip ice. And what they do is that when they reach the center of a floor, they almost reach the end of the phase. But if they stand in the middle of the floor, they will freeze the floor, which reduces traction. And as if the traction in this game wasn't slippery enough, the slip ice just makes it a lot more difficult to maneuver on the ground. But yeah, that is basically the last enemy that is introduced in this game. Slip ice are not like that. Hit the fireball. They're not that much of a pain if you can at least tolerate the ice physics, but it doesn't hurt to eliminate them when they get to a floor you can hit them on. Holy crap. Fireballs are really coming out in full force in these later stages. This is the point where the game actually does get harder. Oh, and you can't touch them either, or else... Well, you really can't touch anything in this game other than coins directly, or else you die. Ooh. But getting a little tricky here. Yeah. Yeah, once the slip ice freezes the ground, it's a little hard to control. Oof. Let's get that. Get that. Ugh. Ooh. And there goes my last life. And that is game. This game does have 2-player simultaneous play. Obviously, the second player plays as Luigi, but obviously, since I am playing this game alone, it's just Mario. And that's pretty much it for Mario Brothers for arcade. Overall, it's a pretty good game. Definitely a classic arcade game in the sense that it has pretty good, like a good gameplay loop of trying your best to live as long as you can, trying to clear all the stages. Obviously, it goes on forever. There is no definitive end. But overall, this is a really good game. And much like Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr., obviously Mario Brothers also received ports, but I would say it didn't receive as much ports as both of those games. Especially Donkey Kong. There are so many Donkey Kong ports. We are not done with Donkey Kong. Let me see what game is next. Speaking of Donkey Kong, come back, tune in next time, and we'll be back with Donkey Kong. So, I'll catch you next time.